Love and Devotion, Inspiring Quotes from King Edward VIII and Wallis Simpson. Welcome to our YouTube video, titled Love and Devotion, Inspiring Quotes from King Edward VIII and Wallis Simpson. In this captivating video, we delve into the remarkable love story of King Edward VIII and Wallis Simpson. Their bond transcended boundaries, capturing the world's attention with their unwavering commitment and dedication to each other. Sit back, relax, and let their words of love and devotion resonate within your soul. We hope that by the end of this video, you will be inspired to cherish and nurture the bonds in your own life. Thank you for joining us on this remarkable journey. Let's begin this heartfelt exploration of love and devotion with King Edward VIII and Wallis Simpson's inspiring quotes. Love and Devotion, Inspiring Quotes from King Edward VIII and Wallis Simpson. The title highlights the key themes of love and devotion that are central to the story of King Edward VIII and Wallis Simpson. The couple's love story is one of the most controversial and fascinating chapters in the history of the British monarchy, as King Edward VIII gave up the throne to Mary Wallis, a twice-divorced American socialite. The couple's devotion to each other and their willingness to defy convention and tradition in pursuit of their love has captured the imagination of people around the world. The inspiring quotes from King Edward VIII and Wallis Simpson celebrates the enduring legacy of one of the most controversial and captivating love stories of the 20th century. King Edward VIII. I have found it impossible to carry the heavy burden of responsibility and to discharge my duties as king as I would wish to do without the help and support of the woman I love. Abdication Speech, 1936. This quote is from King Edward VIII's famous abdication speech, in which he announced his decision to give up the throne in order to marry Wallis Simpson. The speech was broadcast to the nation on December 11, 1936, and was a landmark moment in British history. In the speech, Edward explained that he had decided to abdicate because he could not carry out his duties as king without the support of Wallis, whom he loved deeply. King Edward VIII. I have never stopped loving Mrs. Simpson, but circumstances have compelled me to leave her. Letter to Winston Churchill, 1955. This quote is from a letter that King Edward wrote to Winston Churchill in 1955, after he had been living in exile with Wallis for almost 2 decades. The quote reflects Edward's continued love and devotion to Wallis, even though they had faced many challenges and obstacles throughout their relationship. King Edward VIII. I have always been my own man. I have never been a rubber stamp. Interview with the BBC, 1969. This quote reflects King Edward's independent spirit and his refusal to be constrained by the expectations of the British monarchy. Throughout his life, Edward was known for his unconventional attitudes and behaviors, and this quote reflects his determination to be true to himself, regardless of the consequences. King Edward VIII. I simply had to follow my heart. Interview with NBC, 1970. This quote is from an interview that King Edward gave to NBC in 1970, in which he discussed his decision to abdicate the throne in order to marry Wallis. The quote reflects Edward's conviction that he had to follow his heart, even if it meant giving up his position as king. King Edward VIII. I have never cared for the past, only for the future. Letter to a Friend, 1949. This quote reflects King Edward's forward-looking attitude and his focus on the possibilities of the future. Throughout his life, Edward was known for his love of adventure and his desire to break with tradition and convention, and this quote reflects his optimism and enthusiasm for the future. King Edward VIII. The greatest gift of all is love, and I have found it. Interview with Associated Press, 1970. This quote is from an interview that King Edward gave to the Associated Press in 1970, just a few months before his death. In the interview, Edward spoke about his love for Wallis and how he had found true happiness with her, despite the many difficulties they had faced.
Wallis Simpson. I am not a beautiful woman. I am nothing to look at, so the only thing I can do is dress better than anyone else. Interview with Life magazine, 1956. This quote is from an interview that Wallis gave to Life magazine in 1956, in which she discussed her sense of style and fashion. Despite her reputation as a style icon, Wallis was often criticized for her appearance, and this quote reflects her self-deprecating sense of humor. Wallis Simpson. You have no idea how hard it is to live out a great romance. Letter to a Friend, 1957. This quote is from a letter that Wallis wrote to a friend in 1957, in which she reflected on the challenges of her relationship with King Edward. Despite their deep love for each other, their romance was often fraught with difficulty, as they faced opposition from the British establishment and public opinion.
Wallis Simpson. You have no idea how much it means to have someone love you as much as he did. Interview with The Telegraph, 1970. This quote is from an interview that Wallis gave to The Telegraph in 1970, just a few months before her husband's death. The quote reflects Wallis's gratitude for the love and devotion that King Edward had shown her throughout their relationship, despite the many obstacles they had faced.
You can never be too rich or too thin. Interview with Women's Wear Daily, 1965. This quote is from an interview that Wallis gave to Women's Wear Daily in 1965, in which she discussed her views on fashion and style. The quote reflects Wallis's belief in the importance of appearance and the power of fashion to create a sense of style and identity. I have been accused of being a gold digger, but they just didn't understand the depth of our love. Interview with the Sunday Times, 1980. This quote reflects Wallis's frustration with the persistent rumors and gossip surrounding her relationship with King Edward. Throughout her life, Wallis was often portrayed as a social climber and a gold digger, but this quote reflects her belief that her love for Edward was genuine and deep. I have always tried to be true to myself and follow my own path. Memoirs, 1956. This quote is from Wallis's memoirs, in which she reflects on her life and her experiences. Throughout her life, Wallis was known for her independent spirit and her refusal to be constrained by convention, and this quote reflects her determination to be true to herself and follow her own path, regardless of the consequences.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel.